Well, who doesn't love a good tease? After all, it's the building of anticipation, the knowing what you want but can't have. But if and when you finally get it, the payoff is just that much more enjoyable. Oh, by the way, yes, I am talking about toys here. What did you think that I was referencing? You might need to get your mind out of the gutter. Well, what's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel for a very special video that will certainly give you the tingles of anticipation as we look at the top Hot Toys teases of all time. But before we get into that and I do the official reveals, I need everyone to make sure that you hit me with that presumptive like on this video, as well as making sure that you are subscribed to the channel. And please make sure you have your notifications turned on, because I released a video only a couple days ago and it tanked. Maybe it just wasn't the content that you and others were looking for, or maybe you just didn't get the notifications. So let's make sure that we cover all of our bases today. I would certainly appreciate it. Now, the top Hot Toys teases of all time. I feel this is the perfect video because just this week, as of the recording of this video, we had an actual release of a figure that was in the Hot Toys graveyard for years, and that is Padme from Attack of the Clones. For years, we would see her listed on the Coming Soon page and displayed at some convention, but we never saw her come up for official pre-order. Year after year would pass, and many collectors, myself included, had pretty much given up on filling that Padme-sized hole within our displays, and what do you know? The collecting god smiled upon us. She went up for pre-order, and she officially released and has started making her way into all of our collections. The moral of that story is that at any place and at any time, Hot Toys can pull one of their dozens and dozens of teases out from the graveyard and put it into production. And who knows, with there being very few movies and TV shows coming out this calendar year, they may be doing a deep dive into their well in the coming months. So, with that spirit of hope, I'm going to share with you the top 10 best Hot Toys teases of all time. So, as I said, teases have been a part of Hot Toys' marketing strategy for years, and this is nothing new for them. We've seen everything from giant vehicles to big-ass villains and some truly head-scratching omissions over the past decade, but I had to narrow that decades-long list down to 10. 10 of the best Hot Toys teases that I feel, if they were to put up for pre-order today, would be absolute hits. Now, some of these have been teased on Instagram or Facebook, and as Grand Admiral Thrawn would say, so artistically done. But a tease is just that, a tease, to get you excited and get you talking. Some of these have been shown at conventions, some have just been posts, and some can be viewed still on the Coming Soon page on Sideshow's website, which you can go check out for yourself at any time. But let's get started with number 10 on my personal list of the best Hot Toys teases of all time, and that is Baron Zemo from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, I can kind of understand this one, and the teased Red Guardian from Black Widow. At the conclusion of Endgame, Marvel was at the height of its powers and could do no wrong, but after several uninspiring TV shows and continued failings at the box office, the Marvel train, as some may say, has officially been derailed. And one of those uninspiring TV shows was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, I actually like this show, and I think it's one of the better Disney Plus options that they put out there, and our boy Zemo played a pretty decent role in this one. Now, if you're a fan of the MCU, you know Zemo was first introduced in Civil War as the architect behind trying to break up the Avengers, but it would not be until this show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where he got his official comic look, the iconic purple mask. And as a comic nerd, I would love to have a comic representation of Zemo, and this figure would do just that. Perhaps this prototype can be dusted off if he makes an appearance in the future Marvel productions, but I'm not going to hold my breath, but it sure would be nice to have. Coming in at number 9 is one I don't think anyone possibly expected, but I think could do wonders for those stagnant Captain Marvel figures that are sitting in warehouses, and that is Jude Law as Yon-Rogg from Captain Marvel. Now, I didn't really like Captain Marvel the movie. I'm not really a fan of her character and how she had been portrayed at all in the MCU, but there is no denying how good Yon-Rogg is as the leader of the Star Force in that film. Not to mention, the color palettes of teal and black are absolutely sick. I think if they were to release that figure, even if they wanted to do the variant Captain Marvel version as well, these would sell because they are unique and you could potentially customize and army build a Star Force with those uniforms. Even Marvel Legends released these versions for people to swap out the heads for Minerva and Captain Marvel, and I think this would be a pretty cool option for Hot Toys. Am I crazy? Would you pick up a Star Force figure? Let me know down below. Next up, number 8 is, in my opinion, the biggest omission from the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and that is Poe Dameron. The tease of this figure and showing it at different conventions is one of the biggest mysteries when it comes to Hot Toys releases. Now, there's no surprise as to how divisive the sequel trilogy actually was, but they made so many other figures from those films already. We were teased a Rey Speeder, as well as a quarter-scale Kylo, but this figure, curiously, has sat in the graveyard with them. If we have multiple versions of Rey and a version of Finn from The Force Awakens, shouldn't we at least complete the trio? To me, this is an even bigger slap in the face to Oscar Isaac than the slap that Leia gave his character in The Last Jedi. Hot Toys has been notorious for not completing teams before, and we'll talk about one huge omission later on, but I feel like this was a no-brainer. But if you are a sequel trilogy fan or just a Star Wars completionist, you have already sunk so much money into all the other figures and character forms, so what's one more? I'm a man of my word, and if Hot Toys Poe Dameron were to come up for pre-order, he would in fact be a day one pre-order for me. So Hot Toys, make it happen. Coming in at number 7 is a vehicle that has been teased, and let me just say, vehicles are not new teases when it comes to Hot Toys. We've seen teases for the Batmobile, as I mentioned, Rey Speeder, the Jedi Starfighter, and believe it or not, a 1/6 Millennium Falcon, but this one is one that I've done a 180 on, and although I still don't think it's actually going to happen due to its size, I'm officially adding it to my list because I want the N1 Starfighter from The Mandalorian. Now, I've been on record in saying that I think it's personally too big, and even with my new displays, I'm not sure where I'd put it or where the average collector would put it even for that matter, but there is no denying just how cool it actually looks. It could certainly take up some real estate, and I would carry a pretty hefty price tag, I would imagine, but this one I would want to have. What do you think? Do you have any vehicles? Would you want a potential 6-foot ship in your collection? Talk me out of it in the comments below. But let's jump back to Marvel for number 6 and dive right back into those subpar TV shows with the tease of Hawkeye from the show of the same name. Now, we got Kate Bishop, but where the hell is Hawkeye? If you're talking about comic accurate suits, you would argue that his final suit in this TV show is the definitive look for the character. I mean, Kate is great, but why would you release her without Hawkeye? I think this comes down to poor returns for Disney Plus shows, and the hype from the MCU is just not what it once was. After all, we've had 5 or so different Hawkeyes to date, and I don't think any of them were bestsellers. It's a shame, because I think the Hawkeye show was actually one of the strongest entries to the Disney Plus lineup. Maybe they'll dust it off in the near future, if Marvel can get some wins under their belts, but as my dad used to say, we'll see, and we all know what that means. Coming in at number 5 is one that I actually cannot believe that they haven't put up for pre-order, especially considering how many times that they have included this little guy in other figure packs. Hell, he even had his own figure accessory pack once already, so why not add another? Of course, I'm talking about Grogu and the Seeing Stone accessory pack from Season 2. I think most fans would agree that Season 2 of The Mandalorian offered some of the most iconic moments in recent Star Wars memory, from the return of Boba Fett to the god-tier reveal of Luke Skywalker for the finale. Season 2 was just special and hit different, and the moment where Grogu sits on the stone and calls out to Luke is such a cool moment, and I would love to have in figure form that moment. Let's be honest, the little kid has crazy appeal to all audiences, and to deprive us all potentially of one of the cutest moments, I think is a huge miss. How much would you be willing to pay for essentially a 1/6 Grogu statue, because we all know it's not going to do much except look cute? Let me know down below if that's something that you want. And coming in at number 4 is going to be a dual tease, because I would take either of these for the collection, and that is some love for the 212th Battalion Clone Troopers. We have seen the Airborne Trooper as well as the standard 212 Grunt, but we have had 0 actually up for pre-order. And in fact, it seems only the 501st troops get any special treatment, which is weird, right? We have Cody, and now we just need to get him some troops to go with him. This is so puzzling because how easy these are to make and how easy that they would sell. Back when Sideshow was making clone troopers, they had produced an entire 212 battalion, including name clones like Waxer and Boyle, and they're some of the coolest clones on the secondary market. So, Hot Toys, what are you doing? I would take either the Grunt or the Airborne since it's a unique helmet design, but what about you? Do you like Cody and the 212s, or is there another battalion that you would love to see? Perhaps the Wolfpack? Let me know what you think down below. Now, sticking with Star Wars for number 3, and sticking with more troopers, we're going to take a look at one of the most underappreciated films in the saga, and that is Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, we received Han Solo and in his Mud Trooper outfit, and of course, we got Darth Maul, but there were several Solo figures teased, such as the Mimban Trooper, as well as a brand new Chewbacca, and after the disaster that was The Force Awakens Chewie, I think most collectors wouldn't mind having another option when it comes to nailing that Wookiee. But the coolest trooper that was teased but never put up for order is the Range Trooper. Now personally, I love this thing and would probably buy 2. The look is just so different from your typical troopers, all the way down to the furry snow boots and fur coat. While we're getting ketchup and mustard troopers from The Mandalorian, gems like this bad boy are chilling in the graveyard, but I'm not giving up hope just yet. So here's to seeing him and a few more Solo figures make their way into production. Amelia Clark Kira, anyone? Now, we've reached the top 2. But before we do that reveal, if you like this type of content and these types of lists, let me know down in the comments. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Okay, number 2. Jumping over to Marvel is one from an installment known as Volume 2, and that is Drax the Destroyer. Now, for most Marvel collectors, the original Drax is missing from many people's collections. It was undersized, it wasn't the best likeness, and a lot of people passed in hopes of an updated version coming from Volume 2. After all, he was teased right here with a brand new yelling head sculpt, but the only ones seemingly left yelling at this point are frustrated collectors. Costs for a subpar figure continue to skyrocket on the secondary market because people are needing to fill that Drax size hole in their Guardians collection, and we're settling for the Volume 1. But wait, he is also teased for Volume 3. Collectors can rejoice and rest easy, right? Well, apparently not so much, because that Drax is sitting in the graveyard as well, for now. For all the Marvel releases out there, I would think that the Guardian figures would be surefire sellers, but apparently Hot Toys knows something that we don't. And finally, the number 1 most hurtful tease when it comes to Hot Toys is one from their deepest lines, and that is Baze Malbus from Rogue One. Now, if you're a Star Wars collector, you know that Rogue One figures are some of the best, if not the best, in the entire Star Wars line. From Jyn Erso, to Shore Troopers, to Krennic, to K2SO, all of them are fire. And while you could make an argument that Cassian should be on this list as the most desired figure to not yet be made, Baze was actually teased and promoted in product photos. As I mentioned earlier on, Hot Toys is notorious for not finishing out teams and lines, and that, to me, this is one of those that is the most egregious. Although it does not carry the cultural significance that Han and Chewie do, how can you have Chirrut without Baze? But who knows? We had the Tank Driver, multiple Shore Trooper releases, and Krennic well after the Rogue One line first came out. So maybe, just maybe, there's a glimmer of hope for Baze. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me on this release, I hope. Well, that's going to do it for us today. My top 10 best teases from Hot Toys of all time. What did you think of this list? What are some that you know were teased that you personally would love to see more than these? I would certainly love to know down below. And as I said before, if you like this type of content and are not yet subscribed, then do yourself a favor and subscribe right now. This past year, we've put about a bunch of content, including my collection tour, as well as a bunch of other really helpful big picture videos. So please give them a rewatch, share them around with somebody that you think might enjoy them, and be sure to follow me on all the social channels listed below. I would certainly appreciate it. As always, happy collecting. Thank you for engaging with all my videos and doing your part to build out this channel. And I'll be seeing you in our next video.